Michigan is all set for its spring game this weekend with freshman sensation quarterback Bryce Underwood under center. So why am I about to tell you Michigan has a big problem at quarterback? Stay tuned for that. Plus a new twist on the Nico Iamaleava story to UCLA. Hang on. You haven't heard this anywhere else. Locked On Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hit that free subscribe button down below while you're watching. You won't miss a single episode. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers could get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So Michigan does have a quarterback problem. We will explain. Nico to UCLA, the full story. Hang on for that. Plus, we'll have our Big Ten classics, all that coming up. But once Sherrone Moore and the Michigan Wolverines finish their maize and blue spring game, set for noon on Saturday, by the way, the staff is going to have to hit the transfer portal and find an experienced quarterback. What you say? I mean, they just signed the number one ranked player in the country in Bryce Underwood. Not the top ranked quarterback, the top ranked player in the country, period. He's probably going to start on day one, right? Yeah, that's probably true. So what's the problem, you ask? Well, first of all, he's a freshman, and freshmen tend to have growing pains, and they make costly mistakes, but that's part of the growing curve. Usually, coaches like to have a good veteran backup quarterback or two to guide a young quarterback along the way. Perhaps even maybe start the first game or two before you ease the freshman in. It's been done before, right? You wait till the guy's ready, the younger player's ready, and you let him go. And maybe Bryce Underwood's ready to go week one, but you like some sort of safety net there. Again, you're saying, wait, Craig, hold on. Michigan signed Fresno State transfer Mikey Keene, right? True. But here's where the problem begins, and I get a little nervous, all right? He has an undisclosed injury. He hasn't practiced in spring ball. He just started throwing here in the past 2 days. That's according to Sherrone Moore. Just started throwing this week. So, all right, that's positive, right? Hopefully there are no setbacks. But I got to tell you, Michigan fan, this is giving me Jack Tuttle vibes, right? How about you? You all remember Jack Tuttle. He came back for a sixth collegiate season this past season, but he had a lingering, at the time, undisclosed injury, and he wasn't ready to go throughout the spring and the summer and then the beginning of the season. That's why I'm getting Jack Tuttle vibes. Need a refresher course on the nightmare that was the quarterback position for Michigan last year? Sherrone Moore should have gotten Coach of the Year for winning 8 games, including the bowl game over Alabama and a regular season game against Ohio State with that team with no quarterback. The Wolverines, as you remember, started Alex Orji under center. He was a tremendous athlete. Never really threw the previous season. He always came in special change of pace running plays for J.J. McCarthy, so J.J. McCarthy wouldn't get banged up. And they had some success with that. The following year, though, then Orji was the starting full-time quarterback, and Michigan fans were aghast that they saw that the reason Orji only spelled J.J. McCarthy on running plays is because he really couldn't throw the football. Then there was Davis Warren, who, by the way, looked spectacular in the spring game a year ago, and everybody's going, whoa, he's developed. Where's this been? And then he didn't look too good once he played in the season. So, I mean, we all thought we had the heir apparent to J.J. McCarthy until he wasn't. Lots of turnovers, right? Finally, Jack Tuttle was deemed healthy enough to play in the middle of the season, came in the Washington game, and then started the Illinois game, lost both of those games, and then Tuttle was hurt again and eventually retired for good. as a player before the season was even over. Now he wants to get into coaching. So that's what I mean by Jack Tuttle vibes here with Mikey Keene and his absence up until this point throughout the spring. So there's also Jaden Davis, but he's young and he's promising. And amazingly, with all the quarterback problems that Michigan had last year, they held off on the temptation of burning his redshirt freshman year and his eligibility. Kudos to them for doing that. But he's thrown as many live passes as Underwood, and that's 0. Davis Warren is still around, but he tore his ACL in the Alabama game, in the bowl game. So that, Michigan really doesn't have a surefire backup experience guy. Now, maybe Keene gets healthy throughout the summer and he's ready to go. Problem solved. But we don't know how that's going to turn out. Right now, the transfer portal is open now, just for a little less than 2 weeks. Sherrone Moore's got to go find another guy right now. But that leads to another problem. You scour this transfer portal between now and April 25th. You go shopping, you're looking for a quarterback that has experience, that's good enough to be at Michigan, it's good enough to play in the Big Ten. But the problem is, usually experienced quarterbacks, they be knocking down the door to come play for Michigan. But what kind of quarterback is going to be willing to come to Michigan knowing that they're going to be second chair to Bryce Underwood? I mean, that's the deal. You know that going in. So why would a guy want to, if a older quarterback was experienced, maybe a year left in his eligibility or 2 years, why would he go to Michigan to go back up the kid that's going to be obviously the quarterback here? It's going to be tough to find that guy. And if you do find him, how good is he really going to be? So going to be interesting. We'll see. So I think it's a big problem. It's a very interesting problem for Michigan that they have to solve here. It's a big problem. It's a different type of problem from what they had last year. At least they got Underwood and everything seems to be promising there. The struggles at quarterback at Michigan. So anyway, we'll keep an eye on that. And on the transfer portal, they may be looking for another receiver, maybe another offensive lineman, some special teams help, some depth. A wide receiver, that would be big to find a big receiver, big target for Underwood to throw to, although they're very excited about Indiana transfer Donovan McCulley, big 6'5" target. Now, the 2024 season was lost for him. He left after 2023. Indiana fired Tom Allen, and he left Indiana. McCulley did. But then he came back. He was talked into it. Decided, maybe I'll come back. I'll try this new Kurt Cignetti guy. And only played a couple games for the Hoosiers, and then he left again. So it was a wasted year for him there. And but the year before, he did catch 48 balls for 644 yards and 6 touchdowns. Big target in the end zone. Also played some quarterback in 4 different games as well. So he's a converted quarterback into wide receiver, 6'5" wide receiver. So hey, maybe there's the backup quarterback that Michigan's looking for. I wouldn't go that far. But Michigan is excited about his potential. So we'll see what they do in the portal. And what we won't see is the actual game on live TV Saturday. And we won't see it till next week. Tape delay. It seems that Sherrone Moore gave some thought about Matt Rule's way of thinking at Nebraska. He canceled his spring game altogether over there because he didn't want teams to scout his players on live TV and tamper and poach them away in the transfer portal. Michigan obviously is still having its spring game for the fans, but the game will not air until next weekend on the Big Ten Network. And still, I'll be excited to watch. I'll check it out. It's a great way for us to scout all the players, and Bryce Underwood. We're very excited. I'm as excited to see what Bryce Underwood can do as a true freshman at Michigan as I was last year with Dylan Raiola coming in at Nebraska. So I'm sure we're all excited about that. Hey, be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below. You'll never miss an episode. And don't forget, you early morning commuters, we have an audio-only version of this podcast that comes out even earlier, like 4 in the morning. crazy early. So if you're driving in the dark to work and you want a little company, listen to our voice, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Our audio versions are there. Of course, the YouTube video versions come out also in the morning, plenty early. And we always appreciate you checking that out. Also, don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com, the number 10, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there chronologically, and also we group them by school. This one will go under Michigan. If you want to buy some Michigan gear, some school spirit ahead of the spring game, go ahead and there's a link there for you. You want to get a Michigan shirt, T-shirt, hat, all right there, ready to go. All right, I've got a new spin on the Nico to UCLA story that you won't get anywhere else. I will share that with you as well. Some bad news for Luke Fickle and Wisconsin this week. And also all of our Big Ten classics and live action. All that is coming up in just 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. And with Upwork, you could find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level and help you out. You can't do everything. Get some help. Get some professional help. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. Helps you find the right talent right away. You need help with a big marketing campaign. Upwork can connect you with freelance experts right there to deliver incredible results. Posting a job is free and simple. And within a day, multiple qualified candidates to choose from. And also, instead of hiring full time, this will be more cost effective. Help you just kind of piecemeal hire. And when the job's done, you still don't have a full-time salary anymore. It's very affordable to help you out with your company. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's Upwork, UPWORK.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. And today's episode is brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, taking pride in what you build and practicing every detail to get the best results. No one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone, right? Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the all-stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need. From aerospace to electrical to medical devices, Epicor ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain is easier. Managing logistics is easier. Responding to price changes is easier. From small business to big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier takes the lead. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com. Thank you for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially everydayers out there. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that free subscribe button down below. Share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten so you'll never miss an episode ever. And check out our website, talkbig10.com. All right. The big story that's just floating out there, former Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava. He left Tennessee, got in a squabble, a holdout for his nil money contract and name, image, and likeness. Reportedly is headed to UCLA. By reportedly, I mean that talk show host Colin Cowherd tweeted out on Wednesday afternoon that Nico to UCLA was a done deal. Then by the afternoon, half of the internet was reporting it as fact. Now, it may happen. It's maybe happening here. It may be a done deal. But as the taping of this podcast Wednesday night for you on Thursday, there was no official announcement from Nico's family, no official announcement from UCLA, no official article in the LA Times, which covers UCLA and Los Angeles. ESPN just said that UCLA was considering him. And the Knoxville News, where he came from, Tennessee, they said they did a report as well. Hey, as of this writing at 9 p.m. Eastern, nothing. Don't you find that a little weird? The way that took off today? Again, it might still happen. It might be that by the time you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast on Thursday, maybe there'll be a development and an announcement. Because of right now, it's not there. And I thought a lot of people picked up the ball and ran with this story a little prematurely. Even though I'm acknowledging it, it could happen. Now, let me give you some depth to this story that you won't get anywhere else. As of Tuesday, when schools on Nico's shortlist were disappearing one after the other, Bill Belichick, North Carolina, not interested. Tulane, not interested. It seemed like maybe UCLA might be the last place that he would go. And I have a source there very high up that I contacted on the Tuesday. I said, hey, what's up? What's up with Nico? You going to make him an offer? That source told me we did make him an offer and that Nico turned down UCLA. He turned down the offer. This is on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, Colin Cowherd says it's a done deal and it's all over the place, except not officially. So, and again, this could be happening. I just want to give you a little backstory to all this. If this is how it is going to go down, and if he does eventually sign with UCLA today, probably one of two things happen since I was told that Nico turned him down. One of two scenarios were very likely. Number one was that UCLA possibly counter-offered and upped its offer. And the other option, Nico with nowhere else to go, maybe UCLA just sat tight, and maybe Nico came back to them going, hey, okay, I messed up. I need this offer. Keep in mind, Nico was making over $2 million at Tennessee. He said he wanted more than $4 million. And then when he left Tennessee, he said he was going to ask for more than $4 million. He was trying to drive up his price, but there was no such market for his services. In fact, I saw that UCLA's first offer was just $1 million. That's a pay cut. And we haven't even talked about California taxes. The deal he was getting in Tennessee versus what he'd be getting at UCLA. Uncle Sam's going to take a huge chunk out of it. This would be a major pay cut for Nico. Then another thing that makes me think that they decided maybe they got to come back to UCLA for a lot less money. I saw a bunch of face-saving comments attached to the Nico camp on the internet that suggested that the reason he left Tennessee had nothing to do with money. It was all about the Tennessee offense. He didn't like it. Let me tell you something right now. That's a load of nonsense. That's an absolute load of nonsense. That's a safe face-saving move. We took like half the money, less than half. It's always about the money. And by the way, UCLA's offense is no juggernaut. So don't go complaining and saying you left Tennessee's offense and go to UCLA's. No. Anyway, want to give you some depth to this story as it is currently developing before our very eyes and ears. All right, I got some bad news for the Wisconsin Badgers. Man, it's tough. Luke Fickle. He's been a .500 coach in Madison since he took over, and he's getting ready for season 3, and it's not looking great. Not to mention they got the toughest schedule in the Big Ten this year. Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, and Illinois. Those two schools combined for 21 wins last year. And, at Alabama. Throw that in the mix. If that's not tough enough, they just lost their starting left tackle for the year with an ACL tear. Kevin Haywood went down with a knee injury last week, and it's now been confirmed. Luke Fickle confirmed it this week. So he's done. He's out for the year. There's been a lot of stability at Wisconsin on the offensive line. The same offensive line guys started all 12 games last year. Ditto for 2023. So with all the struggles that the Badgers have had the past couple of seasons, offensive line was not one of them. They finished 5-7 last year. They lost their last 5 games, and they got this horribly difficult schedule coming up this year. Keep an eye on that situation. Some impressive visitors to Eugene with the Oregon Ducks. 5-star athlete Honor. His name is Honor Faalave Johnson. Yeah, mouthful. Hanging out with Dan Lanning. He's class of 2027. 6 foot, 170 pound. Small guy, big playmaker. He's the nation's number 7 ranked overall prospect and the number 1 athlete. And he says Oregon is definitely high on his list. He's such a good athlete that nobody's really pinning him down to a particular position. He could be running back. He could be a wide receiver. He could be a corner. He could be a safety. All our options right now. And while Lanning looks to the future, he recently can't forget the past. And another story I read, he still loses sleep over the Rose Bowl. The college football loss to Ohio State. He says he wakes up thinking about that game. And he's always thinking about ways to make sure that that doesn't happen again. Look, we like to point out Ohio State was tuned up and ready to go. By the time they were a buzzsaw, they were not going to be stopped. They already had a playoff game under their belt, and they were in perfect form, beyond midseason form. They were in postseason form, ready to go. Oregon had an undefeated season, Big Ten championship, and then that bye, and that meant like 3.5 weeks of not playing. Then all of a sudden they got to dial it back up. I'm not making excuses for Oregon. Dan Lanning's not making excuses. It's just a fact. All right. I think had they had an easier draw, easier team to chisel off some rust, I think they would have then played Ohio State a following week much tougher. Lanning is a big advocate of rhythm, and he thinks the entire season should be over for January 1st. And that's a whole other story altogether, but I might agree with him. All right. Northwestern. They got to play one more season in this makeshift cozy football stadium on the shores on campus of Lake Michigan. Their rebuilt regular stadium, Ryan Field, starting to rise up from the ground a little bit. I saw some pics today. Steel columns coming up. The shell of the stadium is coming together. It's going to be nice. You know, the old original Ryan Field was almost 100 years old when it closed at the end of the 2023 season. This new one's going to be a bit smallish. It's going to be cozy, intimate, 35,000 seats, but it's going to have every bell and whistle you could possibly want. And finally, the transfer portal basketball, chalk up another one for Minnesota's new basketball coach, Nico Medved. We told you earlier this week how he got Langston Reynolds from Northern Colorado. Now the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Michigan, Western Michigan point guard Chancey Willis is coming. 17 points per game, 6 assists per game, 4 rebounds, and almost 2 steals per game coming in. Again, Medved and the Gophers have the 8th rated transfer portal class in the country. And with this pickup, it's going to go higher. So good job there. All right, coming up, we got our Big Ten Classics and live action we want to highlight on the Big Ten Network this weekend. This will not include the Michigan spring game because it's not going to be live this weekend, as we mentioned earlier. That's coming up next right here on Locked On Big Ten. The NBA playoffs are here. FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get into the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. So you'll love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether you're picking your favorite team or jumping into the player props or combining them, parlays. It's great. 3-pointers, steals, assists, stats. FanDuel has a lot of ways to bet on your favorite player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even jump in with some live prop bets going in there as well. So that makes that fun as well. Always a chance for you to win big. So don't miss out. Head over to FanDuel.com. Claim your $250 in bonus bets today. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com. All right, it's time now to take a look at weekend programming on the Big Ten Network. I want to highlight some things with the Big Ten Classics and live action. So let's get to it. We always do this on Thursdays. We'll go full screen if you're audio only. I describe it in detail here for you so you don't feel like you're missing out. We'll pick it up on Friday, the 18th, and these are Eastern times, 1 o'clock. We have a Michigan football classic, Michigan and Ohio State, just from this past November. When you know how that worked out when Michigan beat Ohio State against all odds. 4 o'clock we've got one of those Big Ten football in 60s, the highlights from snap to snap. So they jam in a game in 1 hour. It's the Wisconsin Northwestern game from October. And this is where the Badgers got their third straight Big Ten victory and beat them on that lakefront stadium in Madison we were talking about. Then at 6 o'clock, we got some men's lacrosse. Rutgers at Penn State, followed by John Hopkins at Maryland at 8 o'clock Eastern. And at 10 o'clock, we got some West Coast Big Ten softball. UCLA is at Oregon, so you can check that out. Now, on to Saturday. You want to get up early? 8 a.m. Eastern. We got an Indiana football classic. Nebraska at Indiana. This is from this past year. Curtis Rourke threw for 189 yards and 2 touchdowns to lead the 16th-ranked Hoosiers to the win over the 25th-ranked Cornhuskers. And I believe the reason Curtis Rourke only threw for 189, if my memory serves me right, I think that's the game where he broke his finger. And they stitched it up, and he was out for a week. I think that was the game for that. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that was it. Then at 9 o'clock, we got one of those Big Ten football in 60s, edited from snap to snap, the ReliaQuest Bowl, Michigan's win over Alabama on New Year's Eve day. Dominic Zavada kicking 4 field goals, and the Michigan defense really stepped up, had 5 sacks in their 19-13 win over the 11th-ranked Crimson Tide in that game. And then at 1 o'clock, we got women's lacrosse and men's earlier. Now we got women's Rutgers at Michigan. Men's lacrosse at 4 o'clock, Ohio State at Michigan. I always like to point these out. Ohio State and Michigan, big matchup, no matter what the sport. And then at 6 o'clock, they're playing the Michigan Football Classic, Michigan over Ohio State again, that we just mentioned from November. And then at 7 o'clock, the big moment, the Buckeyes walk-off win over the Wolverines. Urban Meyer sitting down talking about this with Tom Rinaldi, looking back on the dramatic double overtime win over the Wolverines in 2016. They got to have equal time. We got all these airings of Michigan's win over Ohio State in November. So the Big Ten Network is going to put this 7 o'clock feature on a big win for the Buckeyes back in 2016. And then Easter Sunday, here we go, 11 o'clock Eastern, Big Ten spring football, a replay of the Ohio State spring game. Then at 1:30, Big Ten championship for women's golf. You want to check that out. And then at 5 o'clock, Big Ten baseball, UCLA at Oregon out on the West Coast. So there you have it. That's a look at the weekend programming, Big Ten classics and live action for the Big Ten Network. Just some things that we highlighted. We didn't put the whole schedule up there. That'd be crazy. Just some things you think you would be interested in. So there we have it. That some weekend TV watching plans there. All right, keeping our eye on everything. We're all right here with Big Ten news, opinion, analysis, all under one umbrella. Tell your friends about us that we're here each and every day. Many ways for you to interact with us. You can hit us up on Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. Our website, talkbig10.com, where we have our podcast and merchandise. Before you go, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's free, by the way, so you never miss an episode. And don't forget, you early morning commuters, on audio only, if you want really early, like 4 a.m. early, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast, we got an audio only version in addition to this video one. It's the same podcast, just audio only. So you can check that out every day. We always invite you to go back and check out. We got a lot of podcasts on Nico and that whole story and how it affects the Big Ten over the past couple of days. If you missed them, go back and check it out. We'll always appreciate you going back for a second listen and get caught up. Also, another option for a second listen, you want to check out our friends at Locked On NFL Draft with Damian Parson and Keith Sanchez, as it's go time. We got the NFL Draft next week. We're always keeping an eye on college players, especially our Big Ten players. So find Locked On NFL Draft on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcasts, and that will do it for us. Have a great day, and always looking forward to talking to you the next time. For Locked On Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman.